Hi, how's it going? This is Universa. I'm at the Stanley's Comic Con, and I'm here with Andy Park, the lead visual development supervisor for all the Marvel Studio films. How you doing, Andy?
Good, I'm doing well.
Thanks.
I'll lower that volume.
Yeah. So, Andy, working on a lot of Marvel films. For a lot of concept art, it's constantly changing. Costumes, stuff like that. How's it like working, in concept art where you just have to keep changing everything?
Well, that's kind of the nature of concept art. Like we're not just designing stuff for ourselves. We're designing something for the story, for the director, for the studio. So there's a lot of different needs that need to be met. So we're there to service the story and the project. So we're doing lots of different iterations. So by nature, concept art is very collaborative and we're going to get a lot of feedback. So it's not like just doing one painting and that's what ends up on screen. We're doing a lot. What you see on screen required hours and hours of iteration, of painting, of discussion back and forth, and eventually getting to a final approved concept art piece.
Gotcha. And just going off of that, what has what design for any of the Marvel, any concept art or designs for any of the Marvel movies has been your favorite to work on?
My favorite is AntMan.
AntMan?
Okay. That was really fun to work on for the first film with Edgar Wright and then Peyton Manning. What am I saying? Peyton Reed.
Peyton Reed, yeah.
Sorry, Peyton.
It's okay.
But designing that suit was especially fun because, the movie is just a different tone from the other Marvel films.
Right.
And this one's just the most lighthearted.
Like a heist movie?
Yeah, it's a heist, but it's like so fun. Just the nature of his powers, the name of his character, it already implies fun, wackiness, it's strange, right?
Yeah.
And then the fact that Ant-Man's suit it's supposed to be made in the 60s, and then made for Scott Lang to wear in present day. So that was the challenge of making it retro, but also making it cool for modern audiences.
Right. And for each Marvel movie, there's a little bit tweaks in the costume. Like Captain America's costume is different than the first Avenger to Winter Soldier to Avengers. Why is that you're always changing? Would you say? I'm just curious.
I think definitely with every new movie, they're gonna have slight adjustments to their look. Part of it is just to give the audience something new.
Okay.
But some versions are less extreme than others, or more extreme than others. But a lot of times, the new movie will have a version that not everyone will even realize. Oh, that's a new design.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people feel that way about Iron Man, even though every single version is drastically different.
Right.
But to the general public, until they see color changes. If they see a red and yellow, red and gold metal suit, they're like, oh, it's Iron Man, but they don't notice all the difference, the nuances. But we got to do it for the fans, for the audience, to give them something new, so they're not just getting bored of the same look. But if there is a look that is successful, fans we still try to stay true to that, keep that spirit, so that they don't hey, I like the old suit better,
Yeah. And one last question for you: any comic book artists or any other art? It doesn't have to be comic or movie artists that you were inspired by in working on the Marvel movies, or? Yeah,
I think my biggest influences has been in the past six and a half years that I've been at Marvel have been the heads of the department, which were Ryan Meinerding and Charlie Wen.
Okay.
I see them as my mentors. So I learned so much from just looking at their work. Through the years, they've given me critiques. Because that's the advantage of working in-house at a studio. You get to learn, rub shoulders with a fellow artist. I learned so much from all the other artists that I work with, like Phil Saunders and Jackson Z and Anthony Francisco, Rodney Fuentabella. And we have so many freelancers that come in and out of our studio. You can't help but to and everyone has a different style. Everyone has different strengths. Like Phil Saunders, he's the one who does most of the Iron Man suits.
Yeah.
So it's really good with machine looks and
realistic.
Robotic and automotive looks. So whenever I have a question about how do you render metal or things that are not my forte, there's always somebody you can go to. So that's my biggest influences. I have so many other influences in comics and in illustration.
Do you want to name a few?
Jim Lee has always been
Lee's great.
my biggest comic book influence growing up, and Alan Davis, he's right up there as well. His Excalibur work, and to this day it's still impeccable. One day I'll get to meet that guy. I love Mark Bright. He was him and Bob Layton were the artists on the Iron Man 200, the Silver Centurion suit.
Oh, okay.
Which was my favorite Iron Man.
That's a silver and red one, right?
So, yep.
Okay.
And that's why I was so stoked when I got to design the Silver Centurion suit for Iron Man 3.
Oh, okay.
I was just like, oh my god, I never expected that I would be able to do that.
Yeah.
But I try to keep it true to Bob Layton and Mark Bright's design. Of course, there's certain things you can't do, and I'm not the only one just deciding what it looks like. I try to keep the whole bullet-shaped helmet, but that was a harder one to kind of get through. And then in illustration, the old illustrators of the past, like
Sid Mead,
yeah, definitely, like Sid Mead and Drew Struzan,
Ralph McQuarrie.
Who?
Ralph McQuarrie.
Definitely Ralph McQuarrie. Like, yeah, there's there's a wealth of like influences, and then the digital arts like Craig Mullins, and there's like so many people that just influence me.
Thank you so much, Andy, for joining us today. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks for having me.